Hello, Nikolai Markovich from Echolaketech Technologies, echolaketech.com. In this video, I'm going to show you how to go and set up the ability to follow users, but not only that, but to get notifications when those users publish new or upload content. So if they have new messages or if your app allows your users to publish pictures, I'm going to show you how to get notified when new content is published by those users. So let me go and do a quick demo here. So I've got this user oz@test.com. And this is just a repeating group with all the different users in the database. And so they're going to follow this user here, and then we'll follow this user here. Now notice that when I click the follow button here, I get these two buttons. And the reason I'll get to that in a second here is to go and show or emulate that these users, user one is going to create a new message or they're going to upload a new picture. So this is really for test purposes for this demo. So the video here is really kind of a lot of plumbing on what you can do within your app. So we've got two users here that I am now following, or Oz is following. And so user one, they're going to go and publish a new message. So you see when they have a new message here, we've got this color change, and then we've also got this notification up here. And then if user 6 goes and uploads a picture, you can see over here. I'm going to switch to another screen here because I've got another user set up, Bob, and we're going to have Bob follow these two. Now you'll see that user 1, user 6 here, user 1, user 6 here. Now we've got greens to show that there's new content, and we've got this red bell here. Over here it's black. The reason being is because the content created by user 1 and 6 has already been done prior to Bob following them. So now if user 1 does a new message, okay, now we see that. And if we come over here, user 1, it's got a message. Now let's do user 1. So since they don't have a picture upload, okay, and user 1's got now a picture upload. So you can see that now that Bob here is tracking the same users. Bob is also getting notified, and Oz is also getting notified. Now what we can do here is if we click on the little icon, I just have a simple pop-up, and basically in your app you can have a pop-up that would show whatever picture that the user is just uploaded, or you can go to that user's profile page. Again, this how-to video is to show you a lot of the plumbing of what you can do. It's really what you want to do in your app. And then similarly here, have a pop-up for the message, or go to a profile page, or if you have a messaging page in your app, it's really up to your design and what you want to do in your app. So this is one of the views here, this repeating group. I want to show you if I click on the bell. So now I also have a view over here of user 1, and I can click on that and similarly pop up. They can go to a profile page. It's really up to whatever you want to do. So let me just go and do some more here. And again, if I do that, and Bubble's crunching away. So we've got messages and pictures. If I come over here, we've got messages and pictures. And the reason why they're all green over here still is because Bob hasn't gone over and looked at any of these. Okay, so I'm just kind of quickly showing. And if I come over here, Oz hasn't looked at them either, so still red. And I can come over here. So basically in your design, you can either have a repeating group here, or you can have this notification bell here. It's really, again, up to what you want to do in your design. I want to just show you a couple of different approaches that you can apply. So with that, let's get into the design over here. And basically we'll start with this, let's start with the database. Now, in the database here, I'm reusing some data structures from prior how-to videos. So for picture, I'm just basically reusing this picture, and message, I'm also just reusing the message data structure or data type. In user, so over here in user, there's a couple of things I needed to add. The first thing I needed to add is the users that I am following, which is just a list of users. So basically, I'll create a field, and I'm going to say Z user, and then it's of type user. And then you want to make sure that you click this here because we're dealing with a list of users. So make sure that that is clicked like that. It's creating it. And then Z user, list of users. I'm going to delete that because I don't need it. And so I've got the list of users I'm following. Then the other thing I have is a list I'm following, and I think this is for comments or messages. I guess I put comments, but messages, and then it's a list of users. And then the users I'm following for pictures. So basically, I need to keep track of all my users that I'm following, and then also the ones that have comments and the ones that have pictures. And the reason why I need to do that is as we get into the repeating groups and so forth, I need to be able to distinguish between these two. The other thing that I needed to add in the database is, where is it? Here it is, new notifications. So basically what I need to do when the users are publishing new content, uploading a picture or sending a new message, I need in their workflows to go and set this flag of yes or no for new notifications. And I'll show you in the workflow basically how that's done. That's it for the data structure. So those 4 fields, list of users, for all of them that I'm going to follow, the ones that are going to, that have made comments, and pictures. And then also back here, this true or false notification set up default as false. Let's get to the design. All right, so the first one, I have this repeating group. It's set up as type of user. And then basically, I'm doing a search for users. There's no constraints on it, but I do have a filter. And basically, it's this advanced, this user's email is not current user's email. So basically what this means is, so I was logged in, I'm going to come over here as Oz. So when I have this repeating group, I don't want to show myself in the repeating group because that doesn't make sense to follow myself. Maybe in your app it does, in which case you don't want this filter. But for this demo, I filtered the current user that's logged in out. Now let me just I'm going to show you. I'm just going to copy this and move it over here so you can see how I got this. So search of users, filtered. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to delete this for a second. So you're going to get search of users and you get more. Click on more and then scroll towards the bottom here. Where is filtered? There's filtered right there. Click on filtered and then you get this pop-up here. Add constraint. I'm just going to close it so you can see. So filtered, click on that, add constraint. And then you click on this. You're going to get all these choices. You want to scroll all the way down to the bottom here to advanced. Okay, and then you could go and make these changes. I just wanted to show you how to get to advanced. Make sure you know, again, I'm just going to quickly do this. So click, scroll all the way to the bottom, advance, and it gives you a whole list of new options. I'm just going to delete this and go back to my original design. So for filtered, and then for advanced, I want this users. So this user, it's at the top for your choices. So this user, their email, that user's email, is not current user's email. Okay, so basically I want to go, again, emails down at the bottom here. Email is not, I've got all these choices, is not, and then current user here, email. And then basically this is going to not show the current users in this repeating group. Okay, now what we have here, I just have a simple text field here that just shows the current user's email, again, just for this demo so I can see all the different users available. And then I've got this follow button. And so for the follow button, I actually have 2 steps in here, okay? And they have conditionals or only whens. And basically what I have here is only when the current user, the users I'm following, contains the current cell's user. So basically I'm seeing here if the users I'm following contains the current cell's user. If it does, then I'm going to remove that user. Okay? And then over here, the current users I'm following doesn't contain, so if the current cell's user is not in my list of users that I'm following, then I'm going to add that user. Okay, users I'm following, so again, scroll down to the bottom here, users I'm following, add, and then current cell's user, just like that. Okay, why am I doing this? The reason why I am doing this is, if you remember, when I toggle back and forth on this, I got to refresh the page here. When I toggle, it's going to change from following to follow. Following, follow, like that. And so what I need to do here is I need to have a conditional here so that when I'm following, it's going to, and I click on the button, it's going to remove that user. And if I'm not following that user, so this is basically saying I'm not currently following that user, I want to add that user to the list of people that I am following. And I have also on here a conditional. And basically on this conditional, I have when the current user and the users that I'm following contains the current cell's user, so am I following this user, I want to change the text to say following. Okay, so basically when I'm following the person, I want to have this button say following. When I'm not following this user, I want to have it say follow. And you can put whatever text that you want into your app. I also have this conditional here to basically go and just change the color when I hover on this button. So to do that, so when this button is hovered, and then I go down here and just change the background color like that. And then similarly for this one, again, it's picking the text. That's one of the choices. It won't show up now because I've already got text defined for following. But that's basically what you do for this conditional. Now let's go and these 2 buttons here, I have similar. I'm just clicking back and forth on the conditionals. Similar that when I am following the user, I want to make this button visible. And when I'm not following that user, I want to make this button invisible. And similarly here. And basically, this is just to a quick way of just showing that when I'm following a user, I want to go and be able to allow that user to create a new message or upload a picture. And when I'm not following them, I just remove that clutter or those 2 buttons. New message, go to the workflow. All right, I don't have any only one on this one because it's there's no need to. So I'm going to create a new message. Again, I'm not doing anything in there. There are fields and so forth. There's message text that I used in another how-to video, but I don't need it for the purposes of this demo. All I want to do is just create a new message. Then what I want to do is I need to go over here and I need to make a change to a list of things. All right, so let me just back up and do a create message so you know how to do that. So data, create a new thing, and I'm going to go and create message. Okay, that's how I do that. Make changes to a list of users. So you'll see here, make changes to a thing, and then make changes to a list of things. Now you got to remember with this button right now, I am the user. I'm emulating the user that's being followed, and that user may have dozens of people that are following them. So there's going to be a list of people that are going to be following them. And so what I need to do is I need to make changes to a list of things. and it's basically going to be of type user. And actually at this point I'm going to go over to my actual step. So I'm going to be changing a list of users, and basically I'm going to be going and changing the users I'm following contains the current cell's user. Okay, so that's, I want to make sure that I'm changing those users, or updating those users, if you will, in the database. So contains, so you don't get much choices here. Users I'm following contains, and then the current cell's user. So basically, just to come over here, so as Oz, because Oz has user 1 that they're following, when it comes over here, search for users, so users I'm following is going to contain Bob into that. Then new notification. Okay, so this is used for that little bell up here. So I'm going to get to that conditional in a few moments, but this right here is the new notification. I'm using this, so the default is false or no, and I need to change this to yes. And that is basically it for the new message workflow. Upload picture is similar. So I create a new picture. Again, it's in the database already. I'm just reusing it. There are other fields and so forth, but I'm not using those for the purposes of this demo. Again, for your app, if your users are uploading pictures, you know, they might have a picture, they might have title, whatever information that goes along with their picture, you'd want to capture that as well. And then similarly, I'm doing make change to list of users. User is what I'm picking here. Search for users, and again, it's the one. So the users that are following the current user creating content. In this case, the picture. And then users I'm following. So I want to add. So as the user Oz, I want to add user 1 to, so the current cell, which was user 1, I want to add them to this users I'm following picture. And then similarly, new notification is yes. And that's basically it for that workflow. That is it. All right, so now what I'm going to do is come over. I need to hide this group focus for a second. So over here is another repeating group, and it is type of content is users, and then it's current users, users I'm following. Okay, current users, and then users I am following. Okay, now you'll see in some repeating groups, so right here for instance, in this one, I've got to search for users, and so I'm looking at all the users in the database. This one here, I don't have a search. The reason why I don't have a search here is because I can go under user, and the data source, so for repeating group, this field here is going to be looking for a list of content. Okay, now current users, users I'm following, if you recall from the database, users I'm following. So it's already a list. So in this repeating group, I don't need to do a search and come up with a list or generate on the fly, if you will, a list by using a search. I can just go to the current users I'm following because it's already a list. So that's kind of nice because for one thing, when you do a search, there is a bit of a performance hit. It's going off and doing a search into the database. So that takes a little bit of a performance hit. You probably won't really notice it unless you have lots and lots of users, but this is a bit more of an efficient way by using current users, user I'm following, instead of doing a search. Okay, I got a little text field showing the current user's email, and these icons here. And all these do is just a simple two-step. So for the things I'm going to change is for the current user, I'm going to users I'm following comment, remove current cell's user. And so basically what this is doing is when a user, okay, so when user 1 creates a new message, I'm going to be adding user 1 into the database for Oz. And actually, let's see, I don't, let me go over to the database and I can show you. So Oz. All right, users I'm following, and this is for the comment. So user 1 has made a comment. And basically, whenever user 1 makes a comment, it's going to add it to this field in the database for Oz. Okay, when Oz looks at the content, so let me go back over here. So when Oz, the user, goes and looks at that, clicks on this icon to look at the message, the workflow is going to remove that user from the list of people who've made a comment. All right. And the reason to do this is just a simple way of tracking which users have made comments. And then you can act accordingly, or you can show the message accordingly. And this one here, pop-up, it's just open a pop-up. So pop-up for, where is it, messages. Again, a simple pop-up for this. To create a pop-up, it's, where are the pop-ups? Oops, right there, pop-up, and just create a pop-up like that. And then I just went and have a simple text field and then a close button, which just, all it does is hide the message. So basically go over here, element, actions, and hide, and then the pop-up, like that. All right, again, in your app, you might have a pop-up, you might go to a different page in your app. If you do go to a different page, just remember that you need to send the data of the current cell's user to that page, so that Bubble knows to pull in the correct data of the user that you want to look at. So for instance, user 6, so if you clicked on this message icon, and if your app does go to another page, make sure that it sends the current cell, user 6, the current cell's data to that page. Or else when you go to that page, Bubble will have generic information and not user 6 information. So, okay, that's it for that pop-up. And then similarly for this message, or rather this picture, make change to user. So I'm going to basically remove that user, the current cell's user, from the list of pictures or people that I'm following that are doing pictures. And then I open the pop-up, and it's a similar pop-up here for our picture. I do have conditionals. Okay, so another reason for using this current users I'm following picture, if it contains the user's current cell, then I change this icon to green. If the user is not in that list, the users I'm following picture in that list, then it's going to be default of black. All right, so again, I'm going to go back to the workflow just so make changes to user. So when I remove this current cell's user from the list, this conditional here will no longer be true and make it green. It's going to go back to the default color of black. All right. And that's basically it for this repeating group. Come over here for this icon. And again, for choosing an icon, it's just simply this icon here. And then I think it was bell, like that. So I've got this bell, and I actually did change the style. So the default, the standard icon is kind of this purplish. This purple. So I just went and just clicked this blank space here. And then I'm going to just go undo and undo to make it back to black, like that. All right, and for the workflow for this, I'm going to make changes to user. So remember in the database we had this new notification. Its default is no. When one of the users that I'm following creates content, they're going to go and change it to yes. And if there's dozens and dozens of users, all those users in the database will have their notifications set to yes. But when I click on the icon for the user that's logged in currently, I want to go and change this value to no. Whereas all the other users who are following are going to still have theirs set to yes. And then I toggle, so I'm going to go over here and toggle, so under element actions, toggle, and it's group focus. Okay, and all this is going to do is it's going to show the group focus. I'm going to come back over here and group focus, which is group focus right here. So under containers, group focus, like that. And so one of the things so with group focus you need to be aware of is the reference element. So it's looking for a reference element, and in this here, click on it. So I've got it as icon notifications, which is this here, icon notifications. And basically I'm just going to delete this. So for icon notifications, there's some offset information. So if I make this 0, you're going to see this is going to slide up a little bit, like that. And then if I make this 0, and these are the default values, you'll see that it's slid all the way to the right. But now what if I put a negative 235 on here? This is going to basically orient it so that it's in this position. So if I do like negative 135, you can see how that's changing the position. So wherever you want to position your group focus, it's relative to an anchor, if you will. So you can go and adjust where you want your group focus to be. And in here, I've got a simple text. And then I also have a repeating group. And this repeating group is current users, user I'm following, filtered. And again, you see this advanced. I'm just going to copy this kind of quickly here so you can see what I'm doing. Okay, so in the repeating group, current users, users I'm following, and then I need to filter it. So let me just delete this for a second. And users I'm following, I click on that and I get this more. And then filtered is down towards the bottom, right there. So filtered. And then I add a new constraint here. I scroll to the bottom, get advanced. And then I've got all these options. Now I'm just going to actually delete this whole thing, and I'm going to go back to my design. So filtered. So current users I'm following comment contains this user, or current users I'm following contains this user. So I've got this or condition in here. And basically what this is doing is it's looking into all of the different users that I'm following, and if they have a comment, so if they're in the list of comments or if they're in the list of pictures. So if they are, then I'm going to show them into this repeating group. So this is the reason why I need to use advanced, because advanced gives me this capability of adding different criteria for my filtering. These, so the envelope here and the picture, these are very similar. Make changes to user. So again, removing the current cell's user from the comments, and then I just show the same pop-up as I did before. Similarly here for pictures, I'm just going to remove that user from the list of users that I'm following for pictures, and pop-up. And let's see, I think I had a conditional. Let's see, I don't have a conditional on here. No conditionals. So for the icon, I have a conditional. Again, when the current user's new notification is yes, I want to change the color. And then when I go and I take a look at these, it's going to change the flag so that it is no longer being followed. Or I shouldn't say not, but I followed. I've looked at it, so I clear it and let's see, make changes to user. New notification is no. And that's basically the design. Let me just kind of go through again. I've got these two different users here. I've got this one's Bob, and this one's Oz. So again, following users. And if they go and upload a picture, I get this change here. I click on it, so it automatically goes back to black. Click on that. And when I click on it, it also removes it from the list, because if you remember the search, I'm looking for the users that are in, like for this one, the list of users I'm following with a picture. And when I click on that, it removes it, that user from the list. So now I'm empty there. And I also go and change the colors on here. Now for this user, different user, I've got my own list, and I click on that, close. I'm going to go back here for a moment and so new message, this is user 6 and user 6. If I go into the database, so Oz, so user 6 right there. So for comments, so those are the ones they're using. So now users I'm following, so this is for the photo. So that's Bob. So if I do upload picture, changes here. I go on the database and user 6 right there. So you can see that it is updating the database. Let's see, the other user, what was his name? Bob. There's Bob. So you can see users I'm following that's got pictures, it's 1 and 6. And if I come over here, so pictures, they're green, 1 and 6. If I go and click on that, turns it back to black, and you see it just removed it from the database. So it's working as designed, which is great. And that is basically how you go follow users in your app. And you can see how when those users create content, a message, upload a picture, whatever it may be in your app. I wanted to have two examples here so you can kind of compare and contrast. But whenever those users create content, there are a couple of ways you can go and notify the person who's following them right here with a simple repeating group, or you can use an icon here. And this is kind of similar to, I guess, what YouTube does when there are notifications on YouTube for whatever channels you're subscribed to. You can go and implement something similar to that. So two different approaches. And that is basically it. If you have any questions, certainly leave me a comment below. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. I do appreciate those. And as always, I have upcoming videos. If you click subscribe, you'll get notified from YouTube when those get published. And with that, it's a wrap, and I thank you for watching till the end. Thanks.